Westlife Development. We are in conversation with its Vice President Amit Jatia to take us through what has been a very, very strong quarter for them, as well as the outlook. Amit, hi, and thank you so much for joining us. Well, my first question has to do with your same-store sales growth, which has been phenomenal, specifically over the previous 4 quarters. From single-digit before that period, you guys have, moved into the levels of well over 20%. In fact, for the latest quarter, it's been well over 25% again. My question really is that at some point in time, the base is going to catch up. Keeping that in mind, what run rate can we expect with respect to same-store sales growth as we move into the next few quarters?
Sure. I mean, firstly, at least for Westlife and for brand McDonald's, this is our 13th consecutive quarter of positive same-store sales growth. So I think we've been able to deal with the base effect, because if I look at the 4 quarters year on year over the last 4 quarters, essentially we've grown our same-store sales by 50%. So if I were to sort of average that, it's still a good, nice 12% a year. So I think, the foundation that we've built is pretty solid, and particularly having delivered positive same-store sales growth through demonetization, through the GST sort of disruption in the market, I'm quite confident that we are on the right trajectory for the future. We have set out a vision 2022 in which we've talked about essentially taking our average store volume up by almost 20% from where we are today. And if you want a sort of a more realistic long-term view, I think high single-digit to low double-digit comps over the next 3 years is really what I feel is doable. So I feel in terms of a high base and a low base, it's important to just understand that comps are compounding. So for example, when we come again in the next quarter, on top of the 25%, as long as we are in positive territory, it means we've acquired new customers rather than lose the old customers.
Right, fair enough, Amit. And speaking of your vision 2022, from what I understand, you intend to have about 400 to 500 stores as far as McDonald's is concerned. Again, for McCafe, or rather McDelivery, it could be anywhere between 300 and 325, and it's the same for McCafe. My question then is, where do the counts for these stand at this point in time, and what can we expect for all these by the end of this particular financial year?
Sure. So McCafe, we are at about 170 McCafes at this point in time, and we started at about 155 at the beginning of the year. So and the plan is to be at between 180 and 190 by the end of this financial year. So essentially from the 180 to 190, we plan to take it to anywhere between 300 to 350 by 2022. Similarly, for delivery, we are, I think, anywhere between 180 to 190 right now. By the end of the year, I think we may add another 15 or 20. And then probably by the end of 2022, as we have said, it might be anywhere between 325 to 350. So I think, very strong growth in each of these areas, almost doubling essentially.
Right. Amit, from what I also read, that you guys are investing a lot more in your stores because you guys want to improve the experience that customers have in your stores and your restaurants. How does that, compare with your delivery? How are you guys laying out your strategy with respect to delivery? What is the outlook going forward?
So, I think they are two completely separate businesses. I think, firstly, delivery is not new to McDonald's. We launched delivery in 2005. So we have a good 13-year history around delivery, and we have a pretty strong operating platform around the fact that we get products to the consumers in good time. I feel that by being able to deliver our food to consumers, it's a separate market where consumers want to consume outside food at home. And that's been growing extremely well, and I'm really pleased to say that we have a position in that market. The way I see the delivery business is that essentially we have 287 restaurants, and you should view them as 287 points for delivery out of a kitchen. And if you look at the recent product launch of rice, And if you look at the packaging, and if you look at, it's very, very convenient for delivery. And we think that as we are able to add more products like that, that are very conducive for delivery and are a meal occasion, it will continue to grow that part of the business. Meanwhile, for the in-store, I don't know if you're familiar with our Experience of the Future restaurants, which we launched, with CR2 in Mumbai at Inox, and the other one later at R City Mall in Ghatkopar. If you visit these restaurants, they completely redefine the customer's experience at a McDonald's. So, you can do customization of your order through self-ordering kiosks. Essentially, you get table service. There are, a very strong Wi-Fi that you can use at the restaurant. There are wireless chargers. The whole look and feel of the restaurant is far more conducive for today's consumer, along with McCafe. The menu is, quite modern, contemporary. So I feel we've attacked both of these areas quite differently, and therefore it's both reflecting in our results. The 25.7% same-store sales growth, has a good parameter from each, a good factor from each of these two areas.
Right, Amit, just a very quick word also on the role the aggregators like Swiggy and Zomato are playing with respect to delivery. Do they have a significant role to play, or is it essentially, the McDonald's platform that is driving your delivery?
So it's a bit of both. I mean, the McDonald's platform has been around for a long time. We've constantly upgraded our app, and today the app, is quite well respected and well used by our consumers. Meanwhile, of course, third-party aggregators are also growing very, very rapidly, and we feel that that's quite complementary, because for us, our core business is in-store and delivery is a brand extension. So I think we've been able to partner with the third-party aggregators quite well, and that's kind of reflecting well in our results. Also for us, it's margin accretive, because as I mentioned to you, delivery is completely incremental, and therefore, it's sort of marginal costing for us. So for at least for us, it's working very well to have the third-party aggregators on board also.
Right, Amit, just have 2 or 3 more questions. I also have one on discretionary spending. Now, of course, right now things as they stand are good, considering the customers have considerably more disposable income as compared to what we've seen in the previous few years. My question then is, as we see an uptick in interest rates, perhaps a slowdown in the economic factors, which doesn't appear right now, could that be a concern? Could that be a risk for your business? And what is this discretionary spending power right now, and what can we anticipate should we see some of these risk factors arise?
So, obviously we operate in an economy, and we are therefore part of the economy of a very bigger, broader picture. And if anything happens to the economy, I think it's going to impact all the businesses that operate within that. To me, more than anything, it's about consumer confidence. And what we learned in 2012, 13 and 14, that it's not just about money, it's about the consumer feeling good about spending money. And it is definitely not about spending money at a restaurant. It's not about that. The point is, QSR is an impulse business, and therefore you need consumers to be at that retail outlet for the business to happen. So in other words, if the footfalls to Linking Road, footfalls to a mall start dropping, that clearly has an impact, and it impacts the business of any QSR. From a McDonald's point of view, what we've learned is that overall the market for QSR is so large and growing that we need to keep enough initiatives and enough ideas in the pipeline to grow some other part of the business, to ensure that at least we may not get 25% same-store sales growth, but we definitely don't want to go into negative territory. To give you an example, what worked for us in the past was McCafe. So what McCafe did was that the consumers who were coming, say, in the afternoon, who would have normally not been McDonald's customers for coffee, when we launched McCafe, started coming to McDonald's, and soon we became a destination for beverages. So we have enough ideas around this, and if an economic downturn does come in, for us, staying in positive territory becomes more important, which is where I go back to my point on the 2022 vision, that as long as we can keep our same-store sales in mid to high single digit to low double digit, I think we are in good positive territory.
Right. A final question then, Amit. Look, I understand that it's hard to call change in trends maybe a year down the line, 2 years down the line. That said, I'm sure that you guys must be having some calculations going forward. Based on that, you've already spoken about the store of the future, and I reckon that that's one theme that you guys are working on. In terms of products, how do you see trends changing, perhaps at least at this point in time, and how are you guys adapting these change in trends when it comes to products specifically? And as I understand, you guys have come up with some very innovative products over the previous few quarters as well.
Yeah, so menu innovation has been a big strength for us at Westlife and McDonald's. I think we've taken on the new consumer trends pretty head on. In April of 2018, we really announced a slew of changes to all our products. And and it's resonated very well with the consumer. Another big movement was the recent announcement where we've given consumers the option to have a wheat bun with their burgers, a whole wheat bun, instead of the normal bun that is available with the product. So if you think about it, taking an egg burger with a wheat bun really makes it a very nice, attractive, wholesome product. So you will continue to see McDonald's take leadership in this. In terms of product lines, the rice is a great example of a new platform. I think this platform is a huge opportunity that was sort of vacant for us, and therefore you will see us play on the menu platforms quite significantly. Even McCafe is just the beginning. I think the beverage platform again has opportunity where you can double, triple the business. So I see very positive trends and opportunity on the menu and product segments at McDonald's.
Fair enough, Amit Jatia. We leave it at that. Thank you so much for joining us and taking us through, what has been a very strong quarter as well as the outlook going in. Thank you.